That's all the people that are going to be coming are here. Let me welcome you to the Ute Creek Golf Course Maintenance Facility. Yay! The first thing we want to do is do the roll call. And so we've got a couple people missing. Marshall Allen.
Here.
Ann is not here. I'm here. Paul Mayer.
Here.
And Phil is not here. And so that's it. The first thing we need to do.
Rick is
Rick, where's Rick?
I'll just sit over here quietly.
I miss you. Oh, I know why.
You serve not
Sorry, Rick.
No worries.
My apologies.
No worries.
Oh, there's a car pulling in.
My eyes aren't all that bright anymore.
There's a car.
Philip showing up.
There's a car that just pulled in.
Oh, okay. Oh, you better move this.
We will need that chair back.
I like the chair, it's a comfortable chair.
Here they are.
I agree. It's right here. Danny. Danny. Over
Here
here.
you go.
Oh, it's already there?
Yeah.
The move.
That's good.
And so the last roll call was Paul Zuckerberg, and he's here. So the first thing we could do is approval of the agenda. I note that the date is correct. Are there any changes to the agenda anybody wants to make?
Yeah, I would like to propose that we go through all of our business and then do the tour. Yeah, that way the recording he doesn't have to stay around. He can't record that, so that works for everybody.
So let's move that down to what, after items from the board?
After adjournment.
Or just adjournment, okay. Sure. Any other changes to the agenda? Would anybody propose? And with that change, is there a motion to accept?
I
move
it's accepted.
Somebody second it, please.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries unanimously. The next thing is the minutes. Are there any changes to our last meeting's minutes? If not, do I have a proposal to accept as written? Anyone?
I make a motion, we accept the minutes as written.
Second, anyone?
Second.
second.
Motion's been made to accept the minutes as written. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All not approved, say no. Motion is carried unanimously. Is there anybody from the public here? I guess nobody from
Nobody.
nobody from the public is here. Okay, so we have the pros. Tell us about since the last meeting. Keith, can you lead us off?
Sure, I'll lead us off with Twin Peaks and I'll do Ute Creek as well. Twin Peaks' actual revenue for the month of September was $191,498, which was just a little bit more than the previous September, so we were happy to go past that number. For the rounds, played 4,871 to get us to 36,834. And all that is right now. We're all caught up on the round, so the comparison should be good.
Good.
As far as that goes. So yeah, having a good, really good, amazing year. This month is also, I think I checked today, 130,000 at Twin Peaks for the month of October. So, which is, I think we did 110 last year. So we're well ahead of last year by 20,000. So and the rounds are over 4,000. So we're up over 40,000 for the year at Twin Peaks. And if you would have told me that at the beginning of the year with all that Ryan and I have been through this year with the irrigation project and being under construction and even just the veil of being under construction, for us to be that busy is remarkable. So it's been a great year. So, okay, Ute Creek, month of September, their actual revenue was $269,416, which appears to be $20,000 ahead of the previous September. And the rounds played 5,467 rounds. Those projections are pretty close there. And the actual rounds for the year are 40,464. I ran those numbers today, and I think that Ute Creek was at 135 as of middle of the day today, with another 3,900 rounds for the month of October. So, what a year. I mean, well up over 2.1 for the year through September. So it's amazing. Really going well. Just busy. When the weather is nice, we are busy.
Thank you, Brian.
Alright, Sunset, here for September, our actual revenue came in at 84,681, about 16,000 ahead of previous September. And actual rounds came in at 4237, pretty close to the projection there as well. Down a little bit from the previous year in rounds. Not by much though. But again, yes, it's been absolutely busy. October, I think when you and I met on Friday, we were a little behind in revenue from last year for October, but way ahead in rounds. And then overall, it's just, busiest. I have to agree. It's one of the busiest years we've ever had, and it's just not. Well, maybe tomorrow or the next day, but we'll have to slow down a little.
Yeah, right.
It's not showing that right now. So.
All right, thank you. Any old business? I don't think there's any done. No old business. New business. Any new business?
I would
End
like
of the
to,
season.
Yep, like to kind of give a summary and share some news with you all. So, play, I'll start there, has just been incredible. I think this is the third year in a row now that each year we say it can't get any better than it has been, and it has. And revenue, I think, is at least $500,000 ahead of last year, which is ultimately pretty crazy. And just keep wondering when that bubble's going to hit after the COVID bubble just seems to be carrying through. So that's been very good. And then the next thing is, as you can see, we're setting in the maintenance facility, 5.5 years after it was passed in the bond election. It's been nice to have Dan and his crew operating out of here, and I think when we do the tour, you'll all be pretty impressed with what we ended up with. Twin Peaks, the irrigation project, they're scheduled to start showing up this week to start the work on the back 9. The full crew, I believe, is scheduled to be here next week, and they still have a goal of getting all the pipe in the ground by the end of the year. Of course, we won't be in a place to grow grass, but that will hopefully be able to get us early spring where they can come back and get all the seed that needs to be in the ground and ready to go for spring, and then hopefully by early summer we've signed off with them and they're off to other things, and we have a course that we can water much more efficiently than we've ever been able to do. A couple other things that we did do this year, we placed furnaces in multiple facilities and replaced some dining room equipment. And that list of other things is pretty small, and that was intentional because as we were moving forward through the two big projects, we were really worried about what was going to come up and then were we going to have enough money to finish them. So I think we're actually in a pretty good place that probably by the end of the year we should close out here at Ute Creek, and that should free up probably over $300,000 for the golf fund. Which really leads to the next things is here at Butte Creek we have 3 pretty substantial things that we need to address, and they have to be by far our number one priorities. The first one is the deck at the clubhouse. If anybody has spent any time up there recently, you notice how soft the plywood has gotten, and we were worried that some folks were going to step through that. Dan and his crew have started to do some removal of the plywood to see what we have underneath there. And then we also have a design to do the entire deck, but again, with as bad as it was getting at that north end, we wanted to do some test samples of some product that we want to put on there that they indicate could have a life of 20 years and will keep water from going through and causing some of the problems that we have. The second thing is we need to do some work to the silo out here. That was identified a couple of years ago, but we decided to not do any of that work until the maintenance project was done. We are done, and we have a quote that's probably going to cost about $100,000 to fix some foundation, do some repairs to some of the block, and then seal it. And we want to make sure that that is here for ever. It is designated as a historic landmark, and we need to make sure that we protect that. And then the final thing is a connectivity trail that we are going to be required to install. That will go from the west side of our property over here to the east side over here, and it connects trails that are already there. And we think that could cost as much as $350,000 to do that on the high end, because we also have to do a bridge at over the ditch over here at the west end. So we're designating that amount of money. Here after the first year, we'll hire a design firm and get that moving for this year. And then the only other thing I'll just mention is that we're going to also probably do some design work for patio improvements at Sunset that hopefully we can make some things better than they are right now. And I won't commit that we'll have that done by the end of next year, but it will be early 26 at the latest that I think we can start doing that. And again, that's all based on the funding that, I don't think I mentioned, but the first quote that we had on the deck here at Butte Creek was between $365,000 and $405,000 to fix it. We think since then we have a new product that's going to lower that by probably at least $100,000. So, and by the same company, and actually will end up being better than what we think we were going to go with to start with. Dan is working on working with purchasing to get bids out to do that whole project, because that is our priority. The next thing, and I say this and I'm sad to announce this, is that Sam has announced that he's going to retire. He will be done as of January 31st of next year, and so we as a staff and as pros are working to see how to move forward. I'm having conversations with Keith and Ryan to see if either of them are interested in relocating to Butte Creek. Keith is interested in doing that, and so we will be looking into how to move forward with that and making sure we go through all of the city process for that. With that, Ryan has indicated that he's interested to not only continue to operate Sunset, but would like to be considered to run Twin Peaks as well.
Oh, isn't that gross?
So he's a glutton for punishment.
Oh, wow.
And Keith has been gracious enough to help, will be willing to help Ryan through that. Again, that's kind of where we're at right now. We need to make sure that we go through proper channels with purchasing, but I think ultimately we'll be able to do that. And probably that is what's best for golf at this point in time. I missed one thing that I wanted to talk about. But with golf, I don't generally hear very much from people that are golfing, except for two things, and one set of them aren't even golfers. But the first one is pace of play. Pace of play is an issue at different times at all three of our courses, and it's a challenge to help with pace of play because you have two groups. One is holding the other group up, and by helping one, you're upsetting the other one, and vice versa. And probably causes some of the most grief and heartache for our rangers to try to work through that. But does anyone have any suggestions of pace of play, your experiences, or how you feel if you're the group holding somebody back, or if you're being held back? How you suggest we maybe could do better with that? Anyone?
Well, my experience, since I've played with a lot of different people, both on Sunset and Twin Peaks, Sunset has the reputation of, if you're beginning to play golf, we should go play 9 holes, so we're going to go play Sunset. So Sunset, I think, ends up with more new golfers, for sure. And of course, what makes it even worse is Sunset's the hardest course, the hardest 9 holes, because it's narrow and there's small greens, etc. The people I've played with at Sunset, they've come from all over around us, don't seem to be upset about it. Most of them expect that at Sunset there's going to be slow play, just because of the nature of the course. They think, well, it's only 9 holes, so therefore we're going to have golfers that are new or just starting to play golf, etc. At Twin Peaks, for me, it's been more of an issue, and I think it's just the opposite. Twin Peaks is an 18-hole golf course, therefore golfers should know how to play, etc., etc. But because of COVID, we have a lot of new golfers, and so some of them, have been taught how to play the course, etc. And others are still sort of new to it or haven't been taught certain things, and I don't know what you can do, because I've experienced so much on both those courses. I don't play Ute very much, but I think in only one time was somebody really upset to the point where they want to get hold of the marshal and to tell the group up to go. A couple of times I've seen on on Sunset, which surprised me, there's been 5 golfers in a group. Now I don't know if one was going to substitute for another or what, but I have been behind 5 golfers at Sunset multiple times over the years. So I don't know if that's an issue or not. But I wish I could, having talked all of this, I wish I could have some kind of solution.
Can you play 9 at Twin Peaks?
Sure. Yeah.
Maybe that's promote more 9. You can't promote 9 or 9.
Well, it's not so much we can't promote it. It's better if we don't.
Better
revenue-wise.
Okay.
Because you get a bunch of 9. We get a lot of 9-hole play off the back 9 early in the morning. Ryan's great about letting us get a lot of 9-hole play off. He gets whatever work that needs to be done, and we get that 9 holes open to early morning golfers for an hour and a half. But if you promote too much of that, then you turn it into a 9-hole course, and then You know, the revenue for 9 holes in a cart versus the revenue for 18 holes in a cart is about $23 difference.
So I can kind of, with what you talked about with Sunset and that as well, having Marshall there for 3-4 years under Keith. Continuing on, yes, part of the problem is that everybody thinks it's a beginner's course. The second thing is it's a shorter course. So if you've got more experienced, bigger hitters, they've got to wait all the time because you've got to wait till somebody's on the green, because if you don't, you're hitting into them, especially like on hole 2, hole 3, hole 5, I mean par 3 obviously, hole 6, depending where you're at, 7 coming down again, 8 usually don't have a problem. So half the time you're waiting for them to be almost on the green in order to tee off. So that's one of the problems with Sunset also. One way around it maybe is posting signs, and it's not going to stop it, is saying that you may be asked to move up, or some verbiage of if you're falling behind, marshals may ask you to pick up and move up or whatever. I mean, I don't know the exact verbiage to use, but somehow to move forward so that the groups can continue to go, because usually it's one group somewhere that's holding them up. And again, I also know, having marshaled, that you can tell people that, and the marshal's going to get told a few things in multiple languages, multiple words, as to what they can go do and how fast they can get there. So there's a happy medium there, and I don't know, and this isn't just to the Longmont courses, this is at every golf course I've ever played that you've run into.
Yeah.
That you got fast and go, and again, it depends. If you have a foursome and you got a threesome behind them, the threesome's always going to say the foursome's holding us up. Yes, that's true, because there's one less player. So it's a tough thing to say how to speed up play and to be fair to everybody, because if a foursome's going, well, we're playing on pace at 2 hours for 9, why do you think we need to speed up? I can't argue with that. If they've got a threesome or a twosome behind them, no. If that threesome or twosome asks, hey, can we go ahead, and they don't, then that's a different issue.
One other thing, my wife and I go to Vegas 4 or 5 times a year. We play multiple golf courses there. It's no different. I don't see any difference between playing golf in Las Vegas and playing golf here, to be honest with you. And so I don't, everybody always complains about the good golfers, and they're in a hurry, they always want it to move fast. But I see no difference. And I've played a lot of golf in Vegas, believe me.
Can you, could you do
Different courses.
Could you do something like, how the fire has the thing about how, so we're right now in a high demand period, that sort of dial on the outside, and secondly, could the
Slow pace signage.
yeah, the kind
It's
of
moderate.
yeah,
It's
like
a little on the
and
slow
then
end. It's slow today.
could your folks out there being the rangers say, when they do get nasty with them, have some sort of small little token thing to say, hey, we know this is a pain, we know that you paid, we know that you did this. Can we give you something to understand that we really appreciate your willingness to be flexible about doing that? Maybe it's a beer at the tap afterwards, or a soda, or some sort of thing like that. Just to kind of get them to understand that you're trying to be flexible. They're making they're being a good guy by moving ahead, or letting somebody, you don't do it all the time, but maybe it's someone who's really getting agitated, bring them down a little bit. I don't know.
So, I have done that in the past. Not maybe the free, a beer or something, but usually on busy days, I know my staff, especially on Sundays, Mike, who works the afternoons, he always at least tries to tell everyone, hey, it's Sunday afternoon, it is slow. Expect it to be, it's not going to be a 2-hour round of golf. And I had to tell that to a guy the other day, maybe a month ago now, and literally walked in right after, I think it was the senior center, it was before the last event for the senior center. And they were all out there, and he's like, "Oh, it doesn't look that busy. I think I can get it around in an hour and a half with a golf cart today." And I'm like, "I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news, maybe, but no, it's not. It's not going to be an hour and a half. It'll probably be 2 to 2:15." Each of the golf courses are rated by the USGA. We all have our pace of play rating as well. I believe I'm at 2:15 at the moment is our average pace of play. I can't speak for twin and or for youth, but I know that's about what my average is on the weekends. Definitely probably closer to that 2.5, depending on the time of day. Because on the weekends you're gonna get all skill levels. So like you guys are saying, COVID brought in so many new golfers, and it's about us trying to educate them to the best of our ability, and our marshals trying to just educate them and not get the negative side too often, you know. But it does happen, and we do our best to make what we can of it and try to keep them happy.
So Jeff, to your point, you asked, does anybody have any ideas? So, and this whole, 10 days ago, 2 weeks ago, when Sam mentioned to me he was leaving, of course my wheels began to turn. I began to think about Butte Creek and began to think about all the golf board meetings and what's talked about at the golf board meetings and relative to Butte Creek over the years and Twin Peaks as well is the slow play. So one of the things that, lying awake, middle of the night, trying to think next steps, one of the things that came to me was that if people know it's going to be slow and everybody's keeping pace with the group in front of them, then nobody's upset. It's when we have the situation, especially at Twin Peaks, because it's one big rectangle, everybody can see everybody else. So if you're on 5 green, you can look over and see 7 green, and you can see nobody's on 6. And you can see now that this group is a hole and a half behind. That's usually when we get a phone call, by the way. And out goes the marshal. But I think it needs to happen before that. And I think as I thought about this, signage in the pro shop, to educate the golfers. For everyone to have a good day today, you have one job. And that's not to worry about the group behind you. It's to worry about the group in front of you. You keep pace with the group in front of you. You should be waiting just a little bit all day. Okay? And then when I'm out there giving lessons to people, just yesterday, I'm pointing at number 9. You see we got a group on the tee, group in the fairway, group walking off the green. Because this woman was a beginner. She's very nervous about going out and playing. What am I going to do? I don't want to hold anybody up. I said, who you hold up isn't your problem. Your job is to worry about keeping up with the group in front of you. Nobody's going to honk at you if you're keeping up with the group in front of you. And I told her, I said, I know you drive in the right lane in your car all the way to Boulder every week. She goes, yes, I do. And I said, and I know you keep up with the car in front of you, right? She goes, yes. And I said, you don't want to be in that left lane, do you? She goes, no. But you're okay in the right lane as long as you're keeping up. Same thing on the golf course. If we can put signage up and have a campaign, so to speak, to educate the golfers.
And the first tee would be also another good place to have it.
First tee is a good place to have it. And that way we get it in everyone's minds before they start. Your job is to keep up with the group in front of you. How you do that, we don't even care. If that means you kick your ball down the fairway, we're great with that. If you pick it up and carry it to the next hole, that's fine too. But what you can't do is fall 2 holes behind, because it's really hard to catch up. If you're that bad to begin with, it's really hard to catch up 2 holes. And so I like whoever said it a few minutes ago, if you're behind, we're going to move you in place. So if they know that in the beginning, your job is to keep up with the group in front of you. If the marshal has to come tell you to catch up, it won't be a request. I mean, we're not nicely, we want you to catch up. So if that means you got to pick your ball up and just get in your cart and drive to catch up, great, that's it. And that's kind of where, if we, I don't know if authority is the word, but if we have the latitude to be able to do that and talk to people in a way that You knew this was going to happen. Now it's happening, so now you have to catch up. Because I'll be out there Sunday afternoon giving lessons, 11 o'clock, 10 o'clock, and I'm watching the groups come through, and I'm looking for gaps. So this time of year, here we are, 8:30 start time, so I'm expecting to see groups coming in at 12:30. So if at 11:45 I look over at 15 green and I don't see anybody, I'm on the phone calling the marshal, saying, okay, get out to 15, let's get these people moving. And it's effective and it does work, but it's constant and you have to be watching it. And all it takes is one group. I sat there this summer and watched, and there was one specific group, it happened 3 different times. One specific group on a Sunday, 2 couples playing a scramble, by the way. 2 couples playing a scramble, sharing a cart, husbands and wives, having a ball. I mean, literally having a ball. And they finished 2 holes behind the group in front of them. They might have been having too much of the ball. And that held it up for everybody else. And then as soon as they got off, you just kept seeing one group after another finish. But it was that one group that was holding everybody up. They finished with 2 holes in front of them over. So I think trying to educate people before they start.
I agree with you.
And not even, the pace of play cards are nice, but I think more end up in the trash than end up in front of people reading them. Just right there at the front counter it gets started, right there when the marshal talks to them, first tee greeter situation, whatever it is, when they get out to the first hole, they know they have one job. And if we can enforce that somehow, I think that changes speed of play. And then and I like what you said, on the weekends, if you expect to come out and play fast on the weekend, it's like me driving from Erie here today with County Road 1 closed, okay, and expecting to, right down there by Walmart, it's closed, expecting to get here quick as I detoured around back by Costco, turned right up the pace. Now I'm in traffic everywhere. There's not going to be a quick way to get here at 6 o'clock in the evening. So, moral of that story, it's like you trying to make a left on this road here. Back-to-back traffic. So if we can educate people, I think that'll help. And I mean really educate them. Where when they check in, that's part of the check-in process.
I was going to say, that's where I think it needs to be a signage as well as a conversation at the check-in, at the courses, and then another sign at the first tee.
Multiple signs. Yeah.
And then another one at the turn for those that have 18 that, hey, make sure that you're staying with the group ahead. Not to say your play needs to be done in this amount of time, which, I mean, we have the clock at you on the 4th hole, or 4th hole tee.
I think all of the courses are at the 5th hole.
5th hole. It says, you should be done at 1 hour. Rather than saying it that way, you say, your job is to stay up with the group ahead of you.
The only
That's
job
a better. That's the better way to say it versus the time, because maybe you're through there in 45 minutes, you go, well, I'm ahead now, I can slack off.
No.
That's not what it should be.
Keep up with the group.
Or your expectation.
And I think if they see that sign, if they see the signage 4, 5, 6 times a day, right? 4, 5, 6. You guys ever seen the movie Focus with Will Smith, where they planted the seed in the girl's head, and then it came time for a bet, and she had seen this thing enough times, and something about the guy, a football player on the field, and what he was going to do, and the guy says, pick a number. And she picked a number, and she got it right. And the guy won the bet. But they had planted the seed from the moment she got out of the hotel room that when she looked down there, she was going to pick that number. If we keep bombarding them with it, it becomes something that's just there.
Advertising.
It's just there. You just
see it 7 times or whatever.
Yeah.
Would there be any value in putting a sign in the carts?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
On the hang.
100%.
To me, if it's right in front of you,
And it needs to be simple.
right, I just put something simple.
Are you keeping up with the group in front of you? Question mark.
Avoid a visit from the marshal.
Yeah.
Keep up with the group in front.
Yeah, there you all of it. Whatever you have to say. Because if
I
everybody,
think if they know
yeah,
that they may get a visit from the marshal, that makes it easier for the marshal too.
Yeah,
And you're liable to avoid some of those
yeah.
contentious situations.
Although, like Phil said, some of those guys will do it. They'll play slow on purpose just to get that visit, so they can be contentious. Unfortunately, that does happen.
Because they've got a few more beers in them.
Rick or Marshall, do you have anything to add, Paul?
A whole bunch of operational theory things went through my head. None of them apply here because we want to keep the same time frames. I think, well, maybe we just spread out our times. That affects revenue. Can't do it. I understand. So no, I like the idea of signage reminding people keep up with the group in front of you, and that might put a little anxiety on you. You hit a ball and you're kind of lost it, and you're like, crap. You know, I got my 3 minutes here. Well, I might go 5. No, I better keep up with the people in front of me.
Yeah,
So
that's the
I think-
thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So that predisposition to keep up is a really enforceable and reasonable thing to present to the public, I think.
I agree.
Any more from the staff?
I have just two more things. So one's another question. So as we start moving into 2025, I'm going to combine these two comments. Paul, Rick, and Philip are not going to be on the board again. They have chose to not reapply. And so I wanted to make sure you all had the opportunity to comment about anything you've seen on the golf course that you would like to suggest that we consider as projects in the future, or things that other policies you'd like to
I'm sorry, just nets came to mind along 3 on Sunset, but no, or maybe even on 3rd. So no.
That's just,
Yeah.
I think that's an astronomical number.
Yes, it is. I know.
I think it's a lot of work with all those neighbors too.
Oh,
They're
yes.
just looking right out to the green.
It's not so much the green though, as much as along the street, and I know that it would eliminate a lot of potential golf balls going in the street, but it also means that people don't care as much, and they don't care if they slice it a lot more. You get a double-edged sword
They're gonna try
to go over the net
Yes.
or whatever.
In
It's like
fairness,
Top
there's
Golf.
a nice row of trees there, but yeah.
It's like if you're at Topgolf and you're on the 3rd deck, you've got guys that are trying to hit it over the net on purpose. You know, I'm not saying that they're going to do it on the golf course, but
You're not saying that counts.
I'm not saying I know a guy.
I know a guy.
His name since we're on camera,
It is gone through my
I know he can hit high enough to get it over there.
I don't know. I think the biggest thing we experienced, at least from my perspective as a player, raccoons this year. I've never seen such raccoon damage that we've had across Sunset this year.
I think it's Beatles, isn't it?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
Ryan and Danny. They did their best to get stuff down as
Right.
quickly as possible.
Right.
I can't speak entirely to that, but I think they did get most of it, and now it's just the second round in a sense. So
For the Beatles.
for the Beatles
Right,
and
right.
Grubs,
The Beatles-
it's the
Beatles
Grubs.
weren't bad.
Yeah,
But,
the Beatles were bad at one point, I'll tell you, but they went away pretty quick once they got all the product down. So.
some of the groundskeepers were saying raccoons.
Oh yeah, no. So it's
Well, the raccoons
we're eating the
dig
grubs.
up.
Oh, is that what they
So
they were eating
grubs, the grubs,
grubs,
were
okay.
like the eggs in a sense,
Right,
and they were
right.
digging it out, eating
Gotcha.
those,
Gotcha.
and then they started to hatch into the beetles.
Gotcha.
So then they sprayed everything. It wiped out most of that at the most part, and then the raccoons went away, and then they eventually come back.
Gotcha. Okay.
You know, over time, but it's something that I know Ryan is still working on. That's it. So, right. Ish. Give or
Work
take.
in progress.
Winter's coming.
Paul, do you have anything you want to share?
No, I mean, I'm playing a lot less as I've gotten a lot older, so I don't have any comments about the course. I just like to say, based on my term on the board, that I think Jeff and the 3 pros and the staffs, you know, the numbers tell the story. Obviously, you're doing an awful lot of things right. So I just say keep it up.
Thank you.
Can I say something? I want to thank all of you for your service and everything. I'm a high school civics teacher, and I'm actually showing my students a documentary about service, what you all do. It's on Netflix called join or die, and we need folks to be joining things like boards and commissions and stuff like that to get on here, because it's actually degraded the fabric of our society, and people are siloed in their political beliefs and other things like that, and they don't have these things that bring people together and have these experiences. So anybody you can recommend to be on the boards is just absolutely critical to our success here and our success as a community, even overall, because it brings people together, different walks of life and experiences, and that's probably the most critical thing that we can be working on right now. So if you've got people that you know that should be, you really say, hey, you're a great golfer, and we really want you to do it. We want you to try to help us recruit them, because it's critical to have, we had 2 or 3 people not here tonight, and it's so important to make sure that we have that this board filled, because you know how much good it does to bring people together, especially when we are in a situation where we are having an uptick in all the use of the courses. We need input, we need your thoughts, and we need people just like you to step up and help us out. So thank you again.
No, I mean, it's been fun to be here and hear how the different things, and this goes back 20-some years ago when I started working for Keith at Sunset for the 4 years, marshalling on every Sunday at Sunset. And seeing how things have progressed and how things have changed. It's a tough industry, obviously. I mean, there's a lot. I mean, as courses keep getting developed, I mean, you've got, granted, it's a semi-private course where you've got TPC up in Berthoud and that. So you've got some of your higher-end courses that where people will go to, and it's a different clientele, and that's part of what it is. You can go to a member for a day and spend $150 or whatever it is around for that, versus people who come to the municipal courses, and I know George and Mark who play every Sunday almost religiously at Twin Peaks and find their time, whatever that they do, and that's the difference, that you get people that are comfortable in different settings, and there's a variety of golfers out there. You know, is it the guy who's looking to go play at 60 courses in the state of Colorado this year, versus the guy who says, I can go play my course and I'm comfortable playing it every week because I know the guys out there, I know what to expect, I know where the hazards are, I know where to put the ball. There's a different perspective for different people, and it's tough to cater to everybody, because you're going to get the guy who's trying to play 60 courses, and you're going to get the guy who's playing there 52 weeks a year, and they're on the same course, and you got to cater to both of them. So it's a tough thing for the pros and the city to manage that. It's not an easy task, and obviously somewhat have managed to do it well enough that with the growth in revenue and rounds, it's not just a revenue growth because the prices went up. The rounds have also gone up, so it's a combination. It's not just we jacked the price up $20 a round, so we made more money.
John and Marshall, we have 2 candidates for the board that we will need to do interviews. We'll do those virtually. Will you both help with that?
Sure.
Sure.
Okay. All right. Danny and I will be in touch to get those scheduled.
Okay.
That's all I have.
Okay, that's all we hear from the staff. Anybody else want to speak from the board? Any issues, comments, concerns? Here's your chance. Okay, nothing from the board. Then, does anybody have anything else to say?
Move for adjournment.
It's been a motion made to move for adjournment in seconds.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Let's go on tour.